Picture this. You are sitting at a table in a beautiful, crowded restaurant.
Oh, that sounds really nice.
Right. You can hear the plates clinking, people laughing. The smell of roasted chicken and fresh bread is just in the air.
I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. I mean, it should be a wonderful evening, but your heart is just pounding. Your palms are sweating.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because right at this exact moment, a waiter in a crisp white apron is walking fast right toward your table.
And here comes the panic.
Exactly. He pulls out a small notepad, clicks his pen, looks right at you, and speaks incredibly fast. And suddenly, your mind just goes completely blank.
Just totally empty.
Yeah, every single English word you've spent months learning simply vanishes from your brain. You are frozen.
It's a terrifying moment. I mean, it's the absolute definition of communication panic.
It really is.
For anyone learning a new language, a busy restaurant can instantly transform from a place of relaxation into like a high-pressure exam room. Yes, exactly. And that is exactly why we are here today. Welcome to this deep dive into our source material for today.
Glad to be here.
We are unpacking a topic that I know will resonate with so many of you listening right now. We're mastering restaurant English without panic. And our mission today is to completely eliminate that fear.
And we're going to do that by really changing how you look at the English language in this specific environment.
Okay, how so?
Well, you do not need to be perfectly fluent to have a flawless, stress-free experience in a restaurant. You simply need the right tools.
I love that approach. The sources we have today, they provide a complete practical toolkit.
Right.
It's a toolkit designed for 4 specific things. So ordering food clearly, asking simple questions about the menu, fixing small mistakes politely, and paying the bill gracefully.
All the major hurdles.
Exactly. And I really want to speak directly to you, the listener. We know that feeling of freezing up. I mean, I have been there myself.
Oh, me too. Absolutely.
Just pointing awkwardly at a menu, nodding, and just hoping I get something I actually want to eat. But by the end of our deep dive today, that panic is going to be replaced with total confidence.
That is a very realistic promise.
Yeah.
And to build that confidence, we're going to focus on usage, syntax, and natural pronunciation.
Keep it simple, basically.
Exactly. We will not be bogged down in overly complicated vocabulary. I mean, we're focusing purely on polite, predictable patterns that native speakers use every single day.
Predictable patterns. Let's start right there, actually. Before we open up this toolkit and look at the specific phrases, what is the core message from our source material today?
Right, the core message.
Like, why do we need patterns instead of just talking naturally?
Well, the core message from our text is profound because it shifts your entire strategy. The message is this restaurant English becomes easier when you know a few polite patterns for ordering, checking, and fixing problems.
Okay.
The reason this works is rooted in the psychology of the restaurant environment itself.
Wait, unpack that for me. What do you mean by the psychology of the restaurant?
So think about a normal conversation with a friend in a park. That is free, open communication.
Right?
You can take 5 minutes to explain a thought.
Yeah.
You can change topics. You can ask about their family. But a restaurant is different. A restaurant interaction is highly transactional.
It's a business deal, basically.
Exactly. It is a structured social ritual. The waiter has a script. I mean, they say the same things hundreds of times a day. Are you ready to order? How is everything? Would you like the check?
Right, yeah. They are not asking for my life story. They're just moving through a checklist.
Exactly. And because they are operating on a script, you can operate on a script too.
Oh, I see.
You do not need to invent new, creative English sentences on the spot. By memorizing these specific polite structures, you take control of the interaction.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, you give the waiter exactly what they expect to hear in the exact format they expect to hear it. It creates a bridge of predictability.
It takes all the pressure off. If the waiter is playing a specific role, I just need to play my role. I mean, I don't need to be Shakespeare.
Right, exactly.
I just need to be a customer who knows their lines.
Precisely. And the lines we are going to teach you are deeply rooted in polite English culture. You will notice that much of what we discussed today revolves around being gentle, adding distance to your requests, and avoiding direct demands.
Okay, adding distance.
Yeah, that is the secret to sounding not just correct, but completely natural.
I am so ready to dive into this. Let's open the toolkit and start chronologically. Let's go back to that moment where the waiter arrives at the table.
It was a scary moment.
Right. You're looking at the menu, and it is time to tell them what you want to eat. This brings us to section 1 of our deep dive ordering clearly.
This is the foundation of the entire meal. Getting what you want, but getting in a way that establishes a positive relationship with the waiter.
So what's the tool?
Our source material gives us the ultimate tool for this. The first phrase is, "I would like the chicken, please."
I would like the chicken, please. It sounds so simple, but I know there's a lot going on beneath the surface here.
There's a tremendous amount of social and linguistic weight in those first three words. I would like. This is the standard, universally accepted, and frankly, most polite way to request something in an English-speaking restaurant.
Got it.
You use the pattern, I would like, insert the food you desire, and always finish with the word please.
Let's look at the example sentence from the text. The sentence is, I would like the chicken with rice, please.
Very natural.
Now, I want to talk about how this actually sounds in real life. When native speakers say this, they don't separate every single word like a robot, right? They don't say, I would. Like, it flows together.
Yes, the pronunciation is key to sounding natural. The I and the would often blend together slightly, and the would and like connect smoothly.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's model this. Listen to the rhythm of the sentence. I would like the chicken with rice, please.
Let's do a mini dialogue to put it in context. I'll play the role of the waiter. I am walking up to your table, pen in hand. Are you ready to order?
Yes, I would like the chicken, please.
It sounds so incredibly calm. It instantly lowers the temperature of the interaction.
It really does.
Now, our source material has a very specific and critical usage note about this phrase. It highlights a massive difference between the phrase, I would like, and the phrase, I want.
This is perhaps the single most important rule for anyone learning English. The text makes it absolutely clear, I would like, is significantly safer and more polite than I want in a restaurant setting.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here. I'm stepping into the shoes of the learner. Let's say I look at the menu, I see the chicken. I feel hungry for the chicken.
Naturally.
Right. It is a biological fact that I want the chicken. Why is saying I want the chicken considered so bad? I mean, it is grammatically correct, isn't it?
It is perfectly grammatically correct, but it is culturally disastrous.
Not disastrous.
Yeah, and to understand why, we have to look at the psychology of politeness in the English language. In English, politeness is often created by adding distance.
Okay, distance.
When you say, I want, you are making a direct, forceful demand. You are stating your desire as an absolute priority.
So to the waiter, it feels like an order from a dictator.
Exactly. Think about who uses the phrase, I want, most often in native English. It's young children.
Oh, that's true.
A child points at a toy and yells, I want that. A child at a dinner table says, I want juice.
Right.
When an adult uses I want with a service worker, it sounds incredibly bossy. It strips away the professional respect between the customer and the waiter. It sounds like you were treating them as a servant rather than a professional doing a job.
Wow. I really never thought about it like that. So how does I would like fix that problem? What magic is the word would performing?
Well, the word would is a modal verb. And in English, modal verbs act like a cushion. They take the harsh reality of a demand and dress it up as a gentle hypothetical.
A hypothetical.
Yeah, literally, I would like means something closer to, if it is possible, it would please me to have the chicken.
Oh, wow.
Now, nobody actually thinks of that full translation, but that historical softness remains in the phrase.
Mm-hmm.
It gives the waiter the respect of a polite request.
That is a brilliant explanation. I want is a closed fist, and I would like is an open hand.
That is a perfect visual metaphor. Always choose the open hand. And from a pronunciation standpoint, let's look at that word would. It's spelled W-O-U-U-L-D. The most common mistake learners make is trying to pronounce that L.
Right. People try to say would, but that L is entirely silent, isn't it?
Completely silent. The word sounds exactly like the word for the material that comes from a tree wood. W-O-O-D. I would like.
Okay, let's have you, the listener, try saying that out loud wherever you are right now. Just focus on dropping the L. I would like.
Yeah, I would like.
It instantly makes your English sound 10 times more natural.
Okay, so you have successfully and politely ordered your chicken and rice.
Mission accomplished. But suddenly, you realize you need a drink. You need a tool to ask for something extra. This brings us to the second phrase in our toolkit.
The second phrase is another essential pattern. The phrase is, could I have some water?
Could I have some water? The source material explains that this pattern is used to ask for something specific during the meal. It is similar to I would like, but there is a slight shift.
Yes. The shift is that we are framing the request as a question rather than a statement. Could I have is structurally a question.
Right, and questions are softer.
Exactly. Asking a question is fundamentally more polite than making a statement because it implies that the other person has the choice to say no, even if we all know they are going to say yes.
Let's look at the example sentence. Could I have some water, please? Again, we see the word please anchoring the end of the sentence.
And we see another modal verb, could, C-O-U-L-D. Just like with would, the L is completely silent. It sounds like could. By using could instead of can, we are once again adding that polite distance. Can I have is okay, but could I have is the gold standard for politeness.
Let's hear this in action. Let's do another mini dialogue. I'm the waiter. I have taken your food order, and now I ask the standard follow-up question. Anything to drink?
Could I have some water, please?
Let's switch roles so the listener can hear the flow from a different voice. You be the waiter.
Anything to drink?
Could I have some water, please?
Notice how the intonation rises slightly at the end, as it is a question. Could I have some water, please?
Yeah.
It is gentle, it is clear, and it is impossible for the waiter to misunderstand.
Now, what I find truly powerful about this specific phrase is the usage note from our source. It points out the incredible versatility of this pattern.
Oh, absolutely.
It says, this works for water, coffee, the menu, or the check. It is basically a master key for the restaurant.
It truly is. This is the beauty of learning structural patterns rather than trying to memorize a phrase book of 1,000 different sentences.
Right, who has time for that?
Exactly. Once you master the mechanism of could I have, you possess the ability to request almost anything. You simply remove the word water and insert the new noun.
Let's explore that. Let's say I am sitting at the table and the waiter forgot to give me the food list, the menu.
Happens all the time.
I don't need to panic and try to invent a sentence like, excuse me, where is the paper with the food on it? I just use my master key. Could I have the menu, please?
Exactly. Now, notice a very subtle shift in the syntax there that is worth exploring for our listeners.
Okay, what is it?
In the first example, we asked for some water. Could I have some water, please? But for the menu, you said the menu. Could I have the menu, please?
That is an excellent point to clarify. Why did I change some to the?
It comes down to countable versus uncountable nouns and general versus specific requests. Water is an uncountable liquid. You're asking for an undefined amount of it, so we use some. Could I have some coffee? Could I have some bread?
But a menu is a specific, singular object. There is usually one type of menu I need to look at, so I use the.
Precisely. Could I have the menu? Could I have the check? Could I have the salt? If it is a specific single item you need brought to the table, use the. If it is a portion of larger substance, like water or coffee, use some.
Let's practice that distinction. I want you, the listener, to try this out loud. Let's say you want coffee. Remember, coffee is a liquid, so we use some. Think of the pattern. How do you ask the waiter?
You would say, could I have some coffee, please?
Now, imagine the meal is over and you need the piece of paper that tells you how much money you owe. The check. This is a specific object, so we use the. How do you ask?
Could I have the check, please?
It is such a satisfying feeling to realize you can control the entire flow of the meal with just these two tools. I would like for the main event, and could I have for everything else?
It removes the cognitive load. You don't have to translate in your head. You just deploy the tool.
But of course, a restaurant visit is rarely that perfectly simple. Let's be real. Often, you open the menu and the descriptions are incredibly vague.
Oh, yes. The creative menus.
It says something like, chef's special roasted fish. And that's it. You have no idea if it comes with vegetables or potatoes or just a tiny piece of lemon. You need more information before you commit to ordering it.
This is a very common scenario, and it is a major source of anxiety for language learners. You want to ask for details, but you are afraid of getting tangled in a confusing conversation.
Which brings us perfectly into section 2 of our deep dive asking about food. Our source material gives us the exact phrase to solve this mystery. The third phrase in our toolkit is, what comes with it?
What comes with it? The meaning provided in our source is very clear. Use this to ask what side dishes are included with a main meal.
And just to ensure we are all on the same page, a side dish is the smaller portion of food that accompanies the main protein.
Sure.
So if you order a steak, the steak is the main dish, and the mashed potatoes or the green beans sitting next to it are the side dishes.
Exactly. In many restaurants, especially higher-end ones, the side dishes are not always listed in bold print. You are expected to ask. Let's look at the example sentence. What comes with the soup?
I want to share a quick story about my own language learning journey regarding this exact concept.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
Years ago, I was in a French restaurant, and the menu had these beautifully complicated, long names for the dishes. I wanted to ask what was served with a specific duck dish, but I was so terrified of mispronouncing the 5-word French name of the duck that I just stayed quiet and ordered something else entirely.
Oh, that's such a shame.
I know, I let my fear of pronunciation dictate my dinner.
But that is such a universal experience. We avoid the interaction because we fear the embarrassment of saying the noun incorrectly.
Exactly.
But the usage note for this phrase in our source material provides a brilliant linguistic workaround for exactly that problem.
Yes. The text says it refers to the dish you are talking about.
This tiny 2-letter pronoun, it, is your secret weapon. If the waiter recommends a dish with an incredibly difficult name, or if you are simply pointing at a long description on the menu, you do not need to attempt to say the name of the dish.
Right.
You simply use the word it to replace the complex noun.
Let's demonstrate how this works in a mini dialogue. I am the waiter, and I am going to recommend something. The fish is very popular.
What comes with it?
It is so incredibly efficient. The waiter said the word fish, establishing the subject of the conversation. So when you reply with it, the waiter's brain automatically connects it to the fish.
Exactly. It makes your speaking faster, it sounds incredibly native and natural, and most importantly, it saves you from pronunciation anxiety. You let the waiter do the heavy lifting of pronouncing the difficult words.
Let's practice this because it is such a confidence booster. Listener, imagine I am the waiter. I'm going to suggest a dish to you. I want you to ask me what the side dishes are using the pronoun it. You don't need to repeat the food I say. Ready? I highly recommend the roasted lamb.
And you, the listener, should simply ask, what comes with it?
Our special today is the vegetable lasagna.
Again, your response is just, what comes with it?
It is brilliant. So you ask the question, and the waiter tells you it comes with a side of rice. Perfect. You are ready to use your I would like tool to order it.
Yes, you are.
But wait, there is one more potential disaster lurking on the menu.
Yes. The flavor profile.
Exactly. Because getting the right side dish is great. But if you take a bite of that fish and it is covered in a sauce that sets your mouth on fire, your entire evening is ruined.
It really is.
And if you are not used to spicy food, that is a traumatic experience.
Which is why our fourth tool is essential. The phrase is it spicy?
Is it spicy? The source explains that this is used to ask about the taste or the heat level of the food.
The word spicy specifically refers to food that creates a burning or hot sensation in your mouth, usually from ingredients like chili peppers.
Right, peppers.
It is crucial to ask this if you are sensitive to heat, because menus often fail to mention it.
Let's look at the example sentence. Is the sauce spicy?
Listen to the rhythm of the question. The emphasis naturally falls on the final word. Is the sauce spicy?
Let's hear the mini dialogue. I will be the waiter suggesting a popular dish. I recommend the noodles.
Are they spicy?
Let's pause right there because we need to do a deep dive into the syntax of what just happened. Our tool is it spicy? But in the dialogue, you responded with, are they spicy? Why did the pronoun and the verb suddenly change?
This is a fantastic grammatical point that really elevates your English from beginner to intermediate. It is all about singular versus plural nouns.
Okay, singular versus plural.
In our earlier examples, we talked about singular items.
Yeah.
The sauce, the fish, the soup. For singular items, we use the singular verb is and the singular pronoun it. Is it spicy?
But in the dialogue, the waiter recommended the noodles.
Correct. The word noodles is plural. It represents many individual noodles.
Mm-hmm.
In English, when referring to a plural noun, we cannot use it. We must use the plural pronoun they. And because we use they, the verb must change from is to are. Therefore, the question becomes, are they spicy?
So if the waiter says, I recommend the chicken, I say.
Is it spicy?
But if the waiter says, I recommend the tacos, I say.
Are they spicy?
That is a subtle but incredibly important rule. It shows the waiter that you have a firm grasp of English structure. Now let's explore the usage note for this phrase because it opens up a whole new world of conversation about food.
It really does.
The text says you can swap in other adjectives: sweet, salty, spicy, hot, or cold.
This is a wonderful way to tailor your meal to your personal preferences. The structure remains the same. You simply change the final adjective to match what you were worried about.
Let's talk about why and when a listener might use these specific words in a restaurant context. Take the word sweet. When would you actually need to ask, is it sweet?
You might ask this if you are ordering a sauce for a savory dish, like pork or chicken. Some cultures use very sweet glazes on meat, and if you prefer a savory, non-sugary taste, you would definitely want to ask, is the sauce sweet?
Oh, that makes sense.
Or, of course, if you are looking at a dessert menu and want to know how rich a cake is.
What about salty?
This is incredibly common for people who are watching their health or simply dislike overly salted food. If you are ordering a cured meat or a specific kind of broth, asking, is it salty, is very practical.
Then we have the word hot. Now, this can be a bit confusing in English, right? Because hot can mean two entirely different things.
Yes, hot is a dual-purpose word. It can mean spicy, as in hot peppers. But more commonly, it refers to the physical temperature, like fire.
Right.
If you are ordering a sandwich, you might ask, is it hot or cold? Meaning, is it a toasted, warm sandwich, or is it served chilled from a refrigerator?
That leads perfectly into cold. If you order a potato salad, you might expect it to be warm, but in America, it is almost always served cold. So asking, is it cold, clarifies the temperature before it arrives.
Let's do a quick mental exercise with the listener. Imagine you are ordering a soup. You want to make sure it's served at a warm temperature, not a chilled summer soup. Using the pattern, how do you ask the waiter about the temperature?
You would ask, is it hot?
Exactly. These small questions prevent major disappointments when the plate finally arrives at your table.
Okay, let's reset the scene. You successfully ordered. You used I would like. You asked for water with could I have. You asked what comes with it to get the right side dish.
A perfect performance so far.
You confirmed it wasn't spicy. You did everything perfectly. The communication was flawless. The waiter smiles and walks away. You relax. You talk with your friends. 20 minutes later, the waiter returns.
The moment of truth.
He places a beautiful, steaming plate of food down in front of you. You look down at the plate and your heart stops. It is the completely wrong food. You ordered chicken and rice, and you are staring at a plate of spaghetti.
This is the nightmare scenario for a language learner. It is the moment where the panic tries to rush back in.
It truly is. I think many of us have been in this exact situation, and what do? We just sit there in silence. We think, well, my English isn't good enough to argue. I don't want to cause a scene. I don't want the waiter to be angry with me. I guess I am eating spaghetti tonight.
Right, yeah.
We accept the mistake out of pure fear.
It is a deeply relatable human reaction to avoid conflict, especially in a second language. But with the tools we are about to provide, you do not have to eat the wrong food. And you absolutely do not have to engage in conflict.
I am so relieved to hear that. This brings us to section 3 of our deep dive fixing small problems. Let's look at the 5th tool in our kit. The phrase is, I think there is a mistake.
I think there is a mistake. Our source material explicitly states, use this when something is wrong, but you still want to remain highly polite.
Let's look at the example sentence. I think there is a mistake with my order. Before we dissect the psychology of this, let's just practice the flow of the sentence. It is a bit longer than our previous phrases.
The key here is an even, calm tone of voice. You are not yelling, you are gently informing. Listen to the pacing. I think there is a mistake with my order.
Let's hear it in a mini dialogue. The waiter has just put the plates down and asks a standard check-in question. Is everything okay?
I think there's a mistake. I ordered rice, not fries.
Notice how the problem is stated clearly but without any aggression. Now, we need to spend some significant time analyzing the usage note for this phrase because it holds the master key to complaining in English culture.
It really does.
The text says, I think, makes the complaint much softer.
Yes. We need to zero in on those two words, I think.
I really want to challenge this from the perspective of a learner who values logic. Let's say I ordered rice. I look at my plate and I clearly see French fries. I have functional eyes. I know for a biological fact that there is a mistake.
Right, there's no doubt.
Why am I required to say, I think there is a mistake? Why can't I just point at the plate and say there is a mistake or you brought the wrong food?
It is a brilliant question, and it strikes at the heart of cultural communication styles. In English, stating a negative fact directly like, this is wrong, or you made a mistake, feels like a physical attack.
An attack?
Yes. It is highly confrontational. It puts the waiter immediately on the defensive. They might feel embarrassed or angry.
It's like throwing a rock through a window. It shatters the calm atmosphere at the restaurant.
Exactly. When you say, you made a mistake, you are assigning blame directly to their face. But when you add the words, I think, to the beginning of the sentence, you engage in a polite social fiction.
A social fiction?
Yeah, you are taking a hard, absolute fact and softening it into a personal observation.
It is almost like a verbal dance. You are pretending that maybe, just maybe, you are the one who is confused. Oh, maybe my memory is failing me, or maybe I misunderstood the menu, but it appears to my flawed human brain that there might be an error.
Yes, exactly.
Even though you absolutely know the waiter messed up, you play this little game to protect their ego.
That is exactly what it is. In linguistics, this is called saving face. You are protecting the waiter's professional dignity.
Saving face. Got it.
By saying, I think. You leave a door open. You give the waiter the opportunity to look at the plate, realize their own error, and fix it voluntarily without feeling like they were verbally slapped. It transforms a confrontation into a collaboration.
That is fascinating. So, I think, acts as a cushion. It absorbs the shock of the complaint. It allows the waiter to say, oh, I'm so sorry, let me fix that for you, instead of getting defensive. So if the food is wrong, you say, I think there is a mistake.
Precisely. You preserve the peace, and you get the right food.
But what if the problem is not sitting on the plate? What if the problem is written on a piece of paper? That brings us to our sixth tool.
The sixth phrase is another masterpiece of soft communication. The phrase is, could you check this for me?
Could you check this for me? The source says this is used to ask someone to look at a problem gently.
Notice immediately that we are returning to our old friend, the modal verb could.
Yeah.
Just like when we asked for water, we are framing our concern as a polite, distant request. We are not demanding answers. We are asking for a favor.
Let's look at the example sentence. Could you check this for me, please?
Let's do the mini dialogue to set the scene. Imagine the meal is over and you are looking at the bill with a friend. The total amount seems impossibly high. Your friend says the total looks high. You wave the waiter over. What do you say?
Could you check this for me?
It is so much more effective than yelling, you overcharged me.
The usage note here highlights the brilliant flexibility of this phrase. It says, this phrase is widely useful for orders, bills, and reservations.
The secret to its flexibility lies in the word this. This is a demonstrative pronoun. It requires a physical action to accompany it. By using this, you can point at literally any physical object that contains an error, and the phrase works perfectly.
Let's visualize this for our listeners. Imagine you walk into a crowded restaurant on a Friday night. You called 2 days ago to reserve a table, but the host looks at their computer and says, I'm sorry, I don't have your name on the list.
Oh, stressful.
You don't need to panic and scream, I called on Tuesday at 4 p.m. You simply pull out your phone, pull up the confirmation email, hold the screen out to the host and say,
could you check this for me, please?
You are inviting them to look at the evidence with you. Or imagine the waiter hands you the receipt. You look at it and see you were charged for 3 desserts, but you only ate 1.
Right.
You just put your finger directly on the error on the paper, show it to the waiter, and gently ask,
could you check this for me, please?
It is almost magical. By framing it as a request to check something, you are acting as if it is just a curious puzzle that the two of you need to solve together, rather than accusing them of trying to steal your money. It diffuses all the tension.
It is a very sophisticated social maneuver, achieved with very simple English words.
Okay, let's take a deep breath. We handled the wrong food with grace. We fixed the billing error without an argument. The food was eventually delicious. You feel full, you feel accomplished, and you feel happy.
A successful night.
Now, it is time to wrap up the evening and head home. This brings us to section 4, paying and leaving. Let's look at tool number 7.
This is a phrase every single traveler must know. The phrase is, could we have the check?
Could we have the check? Now, this should sound very familiar to our listeners. It is almost identical to our second tool, could I have some water?
Yes. The structure is identical. The only shift is from the singular I to the plural we. Could we have the check? This is simply because dining out is usually a shared experience with others at the table.
The source explains that this is used to ask for the bill at the end of the meal. Let's look at the example sentence. Could we have the check, please?
Let's hear it in a mini dialogue. The waiter approaches the table, noticing that your plates are empty. Are you finished?
Yes, thank you. Could we have the check?
Now, our source material highlights a very fascinating geographical distinction in the usage note here.
Oh, this is important.
It says, in some countries, people say bill, but in American English, check is very common.
This is a crucial piece of cultural intelligence for language learners. Both words represent the exact same physical object, the printed piece of paper that lists what you ate and how much money you owe.
But the usage depends entirely on which side of the ocean you are standing on. If you are traveling to London or Sydney or Toronto, the prevailing term is the bill. The waiter will ask if you are ready for the bill. You will ask, could we have the bill, please?
But if you land in New York or Chicago or Los Angeles, the culture shifts entirely. Americans overwhelmingly use the word check.
They do, yes.
If you ask for the bill in America, they will understand you, of course, but check is the natural native phrasing. Could we have the check, please?
Exactly. I always advise learners to practice the version that matches the region they plan to visit, or simply default to the one they find easier to remember. Both are perfectly polite.
Let's have the listener practice both right now. Imagine you are sitting in a pub in London. The meal is over. Ask the waiter or the paper using the British term. Think of the pattern.
You would say, could we have the bill, please?
Now imagine you are in a diner in New York City. Ask for the paper using the American term.
You would say, could we have the check, please?
Perfect. Now the waiter brings the check in a little leather folder and places it on the table. You open it up. The total is $100. You are eating with 3 friends.
Right.
You do not want to be the person who pays the entire $100. You want everyone to pay $25. How do we communicate this to the waiter without causing a scene? This is our 8th and final tool.
The phrase is, can we split the bill?
Can we split the bill? The source explains this is used when each person at the table wants to pay for part of the total.
The key verb here is split. It literally means to divide something into separate parts. If you have a piece of wood and you break it down the middle, you split the wood. In a restaurant, you are asking to divide the financial cost of the meal.
Let's look at the example sentence. Can we split the bill, please?
And the mini dialogue to give it context. The waiter returns to the table holding the leather folder. How would you like to pay?
Can we split the bill?
Now, I need to pause here because the usage note for this specific phrase contains a very strict, incredibly important warning for our listeners.
Okay, lay it on us.
The text says, keep the payment language simple and avoid exact math.
I want to emphasize this heavily. I have seen language learners completely melt down at this exact moment in a restaurant.
Oh, it's terrible to watch.
They try to be too precise. They start saying things like, okay, I will pay for the chicken and my water, but not the side salad. And he will pay for the soup, but we will divide the cost of the bread equally between the 3 of us.
That is a recipe for absolute disaster.
Yeah.
You are turning a simple financial transaction into a complex algebra equation in a second language.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
It requires a massive vocabulary, complicated grammatical structures, and it holds up the waiter who has 5 other tables to serve. It causes panic for everyone involved.
So can we split the bill? Solve this?
Because in modern English-speaking restaurant culture, asking to split the bill is a universally understood shorthand. When you say this phrase, the waiter will almost always assume you want to divide the total number equally by the amount of credit cards handed to them.
Oh, that's so easy.
If the bill is $100 and you hand the waiter 4 credit cards and say, can we split the bill? The waiter will simply go to the machine, charge $25 to each card, and return them to you.
It is a miracle of modern dining. You don't have to explain who ate what. You don't have to calculate percentages. You let the restaurant's computer handle the numbers. Your only job is to use the simple, polite phrase.
Keep it simple. Avoid the math. Preserve your peace of mind.
That is fantastic advice. Okay, we have done it. We have unpacked the entire toolkit. We have examined the psychology of I would like. We've solved menu mysteries with what comes with it. We've gently fixed errors with I think there is a mistake. And we've paid the bill without doing any math.
It's a very comprehensive set of tools.
But, as any good teacher knows, simply listening to a list of tools is not enough. You have to actually pick up the hammer and swing it. You have to build muscle memory. That is why it is time for our practice section.
This is the most crucial part of our deep dive. Understanding the theory of politeness is wonderful, but speaking the words aloud is how you wire your brain for success in the real world.
So, listener, here is how we are going to do this. We are going to do an interactive exercise. I am going to read a short situation based on our source material.
Perfect.
I will describe a scenario happening to you in the restaurant. Then, I'm going to think out loud, acting as a learner trying to figure out the right response. While I am thinking, I want you to say the correct English phrase out loud wherever you are. Then our expert will give us the precise, perfect response so you can check your work.
Remember, speak the words into the air. Do not just think them. Moving your mouth builds confidence.
Here we go. Situation number 1. You are sitting at the table. The waiter has arrived and asks what you want to eat. You've decided you want the chicken. Okay, listener, what do you say? I know that in the past, my instinct was always to say, I want the chicken, because it is direct.
Right.
But we learned today that I want sounds too aggressive, like a demanding child. We need the modal verb that adds distance and politeness. We need the open hand, not the closed fist. So the correct pattern is...
I would like the chicken, please.
Exactly. I would like, if you said that out loud, fantastic job. Let's move to situation number 2. You are eating your meal, but your glass is empty. The waiter walks by and you need to ask for a glass of water. Think about this, listener. We need to ask for something specific. We shouldn't demand it.
Keep it soft.
Right. We want to frame it as a gentle question. We need that soft modal verb again, the one with the silent L. How do you formulate that question?
The natural, polite response is, could I have some water, please?
Beautiful. Could I have? Situation number 3. You are looking at the menu. You see a dish called the chef's special steak, but there is no description. You need to ask about the side dishes. Listener, how do you ask this without trying to pronounce the difficult name of the dish?
The secret weapon?
Remember the secret weapon we talked about? The tiny 2-letter pronoun that does all the heavy lifting for you? What is the phrase?
The perfect response is, what comes with it?
Yes, what comes with it? It saves so much time and anxiety. Okay, situation number 4. This is the scary one. The waiter brings you a plate of French fries, but you clearly ordered rice. You need to fix this problem politely. Listener, what do you say?
It's tricky.
We know we cannot say, you made a mistake, because that attacks the waiter's ego. We have to use the phrase that cushions the blow and makes it sound like a personal observation, saving face for the waiter. What are those magic opening words?
The polite response is, I think there is a mistake with my order.
I think there is a mistake. It softens the fact perfectly. Okay, final scenario. Situation number 5. The meal is completely finished. You are ready to go home. You need the piece of paper that shows the total cost. Listener, ask the waiter for this item. Let's pretend we are in America for this one.
Right, American English.
We are framing it as a question again. We are asking on behalf of the whole table, what do you say?
The better response is, could we have the check, please?
Outstanding. If you are practicing out loud, I want you to feel really proud of yourself. Engaging with the language verbally is the only way to break through the panic barrier.
Absolutely.
Even if you stumbled over a word or forgot a please, you are doing exactly the hard work required to improve.
I completely echo that sentiment. Language is a physical activity. The more you produce these sounds, the more natural they will feel when the stakes are high. When you finally sit down in that real restaurant, these patterns will simply emerge automatically, bypassing the panic entirely.
And that is the ultimate goal. Which brings us, sadly, to the end of our journey today. It is time for our outro and final recap.
To solidify everything we have unpacked today, I am going to methodically review the 8 tools in our toolkit. These are the 8 essential phrases that will protect you from panic. I will read each one clearly. Phrase 1, I would like the chicken, please. Phrase 2, could I have some water? Phrase 3, what comes with it? Phrase 4, is it spicy? Phrase 5, I think there's a mistake. Phrase 6, could you check this for me? Phrase 7, could we have the check? Phrase 8, can we split the bill?
Keep those 8 phrases close to your heart. Our source material leaves us with a final, highly practical message. It gives you a specific mission for your next restaurant visit.
Just a small mission.
Right. Your goal is not to have a perfect 2-hour fluent conversation about philosophy with the waiter. Your goal is incredibly simple. Practice ordering one meal, asking one question, and fixing one small problem. Use I would like for your main dish. Use is it spicy to ask a question. And if you need more water, ask them to check on it. Small, targeted victories.
Small victories are the absolute foundation of long-term language fluency. And as we conclude this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Okay.
We have spent this entire session analyzing how these phrases work inside the 4 walls of a restaurant. But the psychology of politeness is universal in English.
That's very true.
Now that you understand how I would like and I think can instantly de-escalate a situation and show respect, try to observe where else you can deploy these exact same patterns in your daily life.
Oh, that is a great point.
Think about it. Can you use I would like instead of I need when asking a coworker for a file? Can you use I think there is a mistake instead of you overcharged me when calling your internet provider about a billing error?
Wow, yeah.
These are not just restaurant tools. They are fundamental tools of human connection in the English language. You can use them everywhere to navigate the world respectfully, successfully, and completely without panic.
What a brilliant way to look at it. The tools work everywhere. Remember at the very beginning of our conversation, we talked about how a busy restaurant feels like a terrifying exam and your mind goes blank?
Yes.
Well, you have the cheat sheet now, you know the psychology, you know the script, and you have the toolkit. The panic is officially canceled. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. We will see you next time.